You can see the slime. A normal sample looks more like this.
For several months in 2021, Turkey's Marmara Sea was blanketed by a layer of algal slime stretching for kilometers. Now the slime is back, for the moment still hidden below the surface.
The fish are getting smaller and smaller. They cry out, "We're disappearing, help us."
Can the Marmara Sea be saved from ecological collapse? It's 9 in the morning at the small harbour of Rumelikavağı, a community at the northern end of the Bosphorus. 63-year-old Necla Köseoğlu is one of the few women working in the local fishing trade. For half a century, she's taken her small boat out into the Sea of Marmara to catch fish like red mullet and horse mackerel.
Traditional coastal fishing only happens for about 2 months a year, in May and June. That's the only time we catch anything. What we earn in that short period has to get us through the winter. We have no other source of income. In traditional fishing, we don't use radar, radio equipment, or anything like that. The big boats are fully equipped, but not us.
The Marmara Sea is a small inland sea that connects the Mediterranean with the Black Sea. Around 25 million people live along its shores. Over the past 20 years, the population of several fish species here have declined sharply. Industrial fishing plays a role, as does rising pollution driven by rapid population growth around the sea. The fishing season has just begun. Over the next 2 months, Necla will cast her nets several times a day.
I grew up on a boat like this, and I fell in love with fishing. It's my family's profession. In the 1960s, my mother was the first and only fisherwoman in Turkey. Back then, there were no women in the fishing trade. By the time I was 5, I was joining in.
But those days are long gone. Necla once hauled in 50 to 60 kilos of fish each day. Today, she's grateful if she catches 10.
We used to be excited about going out to fish. Even into the 1980s, we caught so many fish, even into the winter months. I could put my arm into the freezing water and pull one out with my bare hand. But after 1990, fish stocks declined more and more. Look, how are we supposed to sell this? It's not even enough to cover the fuel. To cover costs, we have to catch 50 or 100 fish a day.
Necla has watched the Marmara Sea deteriorate for years. But in 2021, its ecological crisis became plain for everyone to see. For months, large areas of the surface were smothered by slime known as sea snot. The foul-smelling gelatinous substance is produced by algae. It's not harmful to humans, but it starves marine life of oxygen.
It was like the sea had vomited. It was hell. There was this slime. I was totally shocked. Even after washing the nets twice, the stuff still didn't come out. It was terrible.
So far, Necla has caught only a few mackerel in her net. She decides to move on and try again elsewhere. Turkish scientists fear that the slime could return to the surface. This research vessel belongs to Middle East Technical University in Ankara and has been operating on the Marmara Sea since 1985. In the past, the researchers focused on marine diversity. Today, their main concern is the algal slime. Professor Hasan Örek is an oceanographer at the university's Institute of Marine Sciences. On this expedition, he's trying to determine how much algal slime is currently present in the Marmara Sea. He says the main drivers are rising water temperatures and nutrients entering the sea through untreated wastewater.
An excess of nutrients in the water leads to excessive growth of certain types of phytoplankton. At some point, they begin to die off. This causes too much organic material to decay, and when it no longer dissipates, the slime is created. Today we're using a probe as well as a camera. While the probe collects data, the camera gives us visual evidence that the sea slime is there. We want to examine its structure to determine whether the outbreak of 2021 could happen again.
Slower. We're sending it down now. I'll tell you when.
They use what's known as a CTD sensor. It measures key seawater properties, including temperature, salinity, oxygen levels, and conductivity.
Slowly now. That's great. Stop.
The researchers collect water samples from different depths.
We've lowered the probe 24 meters. It's now between two layers of water. On top is the water from the Black Sea, and underneath it the water from the Mediterranean. In between, the salinity mixes together. The slime is clearly visible. We're making a recording.
It's still spring, but the camera already reveals a thick layer of slime beneath the surface. And the problem is widespread.
Unfortunately, one of our findings is that layers of slime are present almost throughout the entire Marmara Sea, especially between 15 and 30 meters. It's likely that the situation will worsen over time, and we could end up with a repeat of the dramatic situation that happened in 2021.
The warmer the seawater becomes and the more wastewater flows into the Marmara Sea, the greater the risk that the slime will rise to the surface, carried upward by gas bubbles released as the algae decomposes. Authorities in Istanbul are also worried about a possible repeat of the slime outbreak of 2021. Ayşen Erdincler is a professor of environmental engineering and head of Istanbul's Department of Environmental Protection. After the algal slime outbreak 4 years ago, her agency stepped in.
Since the problem with the slime, the Marmara Sea has been declared a special environmental protection area. The ministry now has an action plan to protect it. We're all working hard to keep our sea clean and safeguard the ecosystem. Hi, Ilker.
Hi, welcome.
How are you?
Well, thanks.
Within the department, İlker Aslan's team is responsible for clearing trash from the sea and reducing pollution from shipping traffic.
We monitor Istanbul and the coast.
81 cameras monitor the coastline of Greater Istanbul around the clock. If sewage or oil were dumped into the sea, İlker would probably be the first to see it.
The cameras are positioned strategically. A single camera can cover about 5 kilometers, including the shoreline and the sea.
With the cameras, we can monitor around 400 kilometers within our jurisdiction.
Illegal dumping is a major contributor to the damage being done to the marine ecosystem.
A single liter of discarded oil or waste that contains oil will contaminate 1 million cubic meters of seawater, so we take it very seriously.
İlker and Ayşen go to check in with one of the department's waste disposal teams. They collect wastewater and waste oil from cargo ships. Each year, around 40,000 ships pass through the Bosphorus and the Sea of Marmara. Every day, Turkish and international cargo ships contact the authorities to dispose of their waste legally.
This large ship requested waste collection from us. After we reviewed the request, the waste disposal ship went out to meet it.
In 2024, the Istanbul city administration collected around 300,000 cubic meters of used oil, waste, and sewage.
This is the control sheet.
We started 90 minutes ago at 9:30. We've collected 11.7 cubic meters. They're warming up the oil so it transfers faster.
After the Marmara Sea was declared an environmental protection area, the Turkish government raised fines for illegal fuel dumping, first by 60% and then by another 40%. Even so, oil continues to be discharged into the sea.
It's cliché, but a lock can't always prevent theft. No matter how many deterrents you put in place, sadly there are some ship captains with no morals. Even if it's just a small amount, they try to get away without paying. Thanks very much, bye.
The shipping waste also includes sewage and trash, such as discarded food. It's brought back to land and treated. But when it comes to protecting the Marmara Sea's ecosystem, Ayşen Erdinçler knows these efforts are little more than a drop in the ocean. A far larger threat comes from domestic and industrial pollution. Every day, millions of cubic meters of wastewater flow into the sea, and Turkey still lacks enough modern wastewater treatment plants. After 5 hours on the water, Necla Köseoğlu has brought her fishing boat back to port in Rumelikavağı. Today's catch was a small one, just 2 kilos of fish.
Half a kilo of horse mackerel, about 5 pickerels, and a kilo of red mullet. Honestly, you don't do the job for this kind of catch. You really have to love it.
In the past, Necla sold her fish at the local market, but it closed 5 years ago. Now her customers are nearby restaurant owners.
This is all I have. Look, a mackerel. I cast the nets 4 times. Let's go inside and take a look.
1 kilo of red mullet.
There are mackerel mixed in with them.
That's okay, a kilo of horse mackerel.
The restaurant owner, Aytekin Şit, buys everything. Necla earns 1,000 lira for the 2 kilos of fish, about 25 euros.
We've known each other since I was a child, and we've been friends for almost 30 years. We call out to her, "Sister Necla, how much did you catch? 1, 3, 5 kilos? Other people want to buy our fish, but I have priority."
We support each other. He helps me by contributing to my income. He buys and sells the fish at fair prices.
I say to her, "Sister, you've paid for fuel. You've gone to all this trouble." She tells me not to worry. That's just how she is. But of course, there are fewer fish every year. As they disappear, so does our culture. We fish the seas empty. Who knows where it will end? We'll probably end up just eating fish from fish farms.
Necla's husband died 2 years ago. Now she lives alone, apart from her pet bird and cat.
Where's Duman? Did we lock him out on the balcony? He usually comes straight away when he hears something. Ah, there you are, my baby. Come here. Come here.
Her grandson, Rüzgar, visits often. Necla can no longer survive on fishing alone. She manages to get by thanks to her widow's pension. In her free time, Necla also works to help protect the Marmara Sea. As a member of the Istanbul Fishing Cooperative, she's often invited to share her experience with local officials and marine scientists.
They invite me to all kinds of events. I represent traditional coastal fishing. There's no one else to do it. I share my observations in the interest of sustainable fishing. I'm not afraid to speak my mind. Until the day I die, I'll fight for the survival of traditional coastal fishing.
Old photos show how fishing was once a family affair, with everyone lending a hand.
My family want me to sell the boat and give up fishing. But I say, don't say that. It's like a knife in the heart. I have one life and fishing makes me happy.
Sergio Ekşiyan is a retired professional diver. He shares Necla's concern for the Marmara Sea. The 71-year-old lives on Büyükada, the largest of the Adalar Islands, southeast of Istanbul. Like Necla, he was aware of the algal slime long before the outbreak of 2021. Despite heavy rain, Sergio plans to go diving today. He wants to recover what are known as ghost nets, abandoned fishing nets that continue to trap and kill marine life. About 20 years ago, he discovered the seabed around his island was littered with them. Since then, he's been removing them voluntarily. Today, his diving partner is his longtime friend, Ercan Akpolat, the local mayor. Together, they've become known as ghost net hunters.
Around 2005 or so, I wanted to film the beautiful schools of fish in the middle of the sea. But when I dove down, there were these nets. It's trash. According to the Barcelona Convention, it's considered marine trash, even if it wasn't intentionally dumped.
If we don't dispose of these nets, they'll continue to passively catch fish for years to come. They're synthetic nets. The fish get caught in them.
Sergio and Ercan plan to dive to a depth of 30 meters. That's where they last discovered a ghost net. Recovering them is hard work. The nets can stretch more than 100 meters in length. It often takes several dives to bring one to the surface. But every net they remove saves countless marine animals. Since the algal slime returned, the ghost net hunters' work has become even more difficult.
Last week, we came across extremely thick layers of slime at a depth of 20 to 30 meters. Even today, at 20 to 25 meters, we could see large clumps of it. The slime is incredibly heavy. When pieces of it stick together, they form a huge mass, as big as a house.
Imagine a cloud 20 meters wide and thick.
The two friends know they'll have to return again and again. It's a never-ending task. Often they find new nets in places they just cleared days earlier. One reason is that fishing crews face little to no punishment for dumping old nets at sea. Back on the research vessel, oceanographer Hasan Örek and his team are analyzing the slime samples they've collected, measuring their density. For the past 10 days, they've been comparing slime samples from across the Marmara Sea. The latest results are worrying.
The density is extremely high. What you see here is a compact mass of slime. A normal sample from a healthy sea would look more like this. Even in a sample without slime, there are still microorganisms, but the structure isn't nearly as dense. Let's hold them side by side. One is a sample of the slime and the other from down at the seabed. You can see the difference.
Another key focus for the scientists is the oxygen content of the seawater at different depths. After 30 years of continuous pollution, oxygen levels have dropped alarmingly. And the slime is making matters worse. As it decays, it consumes large amounts of oxygen. It's a vicious cycle.
Currently, oxygen levels in the Marmara Sea are quite low. Near the bottom, the values we have are 6, 5, and 4. At the surface, they're over 300. So at the seabed, it's practically zero. In terms of the ecosystem, almost nothing survives there anymore. It's sad, but that's how it is.
His latest data confirms that the oxygen levels at the bottom of the Marmara Sea have fallen by 80% since the 1990s.
I hope that one day I'll measure the oxygen content and no longer see values that worry me. I want to see values that are compatible with life, not ones that are virtually zero. I'd like it to return to the levels it had in the 1950s. I hope I live to see that.
To prevent any more algal slime from forming, the discharge of untreated wastewater would have to stop immediately. But for now, that's a distant goal. For years, diver Sergio Ekşiyan has witnessed firsthand what scientists are now documenting with their data. The Marmara Sea is being suffocated.
In the 1970s, there was a lot of coral here. It was like a forest on every rock. Believe me, once you've seen beauty like that, seeing this dead, desert-like sea is really sad. We did this, we humans. There are 7 cities around the Marmara Sea. 25 million people live in the region.
Sergio has lived his whole life on Büyükada, in the eastern part of the Marmara Sea.
Hello, boy. What's wrong?
Over the past 20 years, Sergio and his friends have pulled hundreds of ghost nets out of the Marmara Sea. Instead of discarding them, Sergio sends the nets to farmers in villages in eastern Turkey.
The farmers said they could use the nets to protect their vegetables. We sent some and they asked for more. Some people even thought we had a factory that made them.
While recovering the ghost nets, he also documents the underwater world on film.
Look, that's a scorpion fish. It's still alive. I saw that it was still breathing. I was on my own, so I tucked the camera under my arm and cut the net with my knife. I set it free.
He regularly shares his footage with scientists across Turkey, including his earliest recordings of algal slime made back in 2007. But authorities ignored the warnings from both residents and experts until the slime surfaced. Every May, the mayors of the 7 cities bordering the Marmara Sea gather in Istanbul. Together with scientists and activists, they discuss ways to protect the sea. Necla attends the conference as well, representing the small-scale coastal fishers.
I go to as many workshops as possible. Today the topic is the problem of algal slime. Hopefully I can contribute something, given my experience with fishing, because we're the ones who see it firsthand. That's why we're here.
Researchers present studies that show the situation is getting worse and worse. Their hope is that the severity of the crisis will finally prompt officials to take action.
Akdeniz ve Karadeniz balıkçılığının %62'si artık biyolojik olarak sürdürülemez seviyelerde.
Sergio is also in the audience. He's here to see a presentation by his friend, marine biologist Mustafa Sarı.
It's like May 2021. The slime begins at a depth of 12 metres and extends in large layers down to 18 metres. In the coming years, we could end up in a dangerous pattern where we have to deal with the slime every year.
Çok büyük tehlike söz konusu.
The conference ends with broad agreement, but without any concrete measures. Necla and Sergio leave feeling pessimistic about what lies ahead.
None of them said that the situation is improving, which means it's getting worse. There are people who are trying to do something, but at some point they'll get fed up with the process. I'm close to giving up myself, and if I do, it won't matter. But I hope the scientists don't give up, even if they're frustrated by giving their advice again and again while nothing changes.
Coastal fishing is already dead. Commercial fishing will die out over time too. There won't be any fishing anymore. Fishing will be just an entry in the encyclopedia. It's very sad.
Back in Rumelikavağı, Necla is preparing for another day on the water. Her grandson Rüzgar helps her fold the nets.
I've been going fishing with my grandmother since I was born. She taught me how to swim when I was 2. I want to learn everything from her. When I grow up, I want to keep the tradition going and sell fish.
I support the young people. I see a real sparkle in their eyes. They shine. They know things are hard, but they have energy. I hope everything will be okay. Right, Rüzgar? Everything will be okay.
There are concrete solutions that could help save the Marmara Sea. The Turkish government could curb population growth in the region and invest in modern wastewater treatment plants. But right now, that's not happening. And so it appears only a matter of time before this picturesque coastline is struck by another outbreak of algal slime.